Hello Multiverse, welcome to Omniverse Gamers. My name is Damian Bizzaio. This video is going to dissect another dynamic encounter. We're going to call this one Kobolds at Sea. This is from Pirates of the Ashen Sea. It's kind of a West Marshal along these islands. The group is after these geometric shapes that are like stop signs with holes in them, but there's different, there's octagons, there's pentagons, there's hexagons. And they've recently learned that the hexagons are what the captain's been using to, the holes in the thing are kind of, they scan up to the stars in the sky, and that helps them determine where new islands are to be discovered. For some, they don't know why that happened. They just happen to catch him in the act of doing that, and so they're like, oh, now we kind of know what these are, because they highly prize the hexagons. They found octagons and squares, and they found pentagons, which are also highly prized. But the pentagons and the hexagons are the ones that they really want. Anyway, so they're on their way to this new island. They've never been there. They have no idea. They're going to travel at night. They're going to do recon. They're going to explore a new island. The big ship kind of drops them off. They go off on the longboat because they don't want the other pirates to know that they found islands, basically. So they're going along. They have no idea where they're going. There's three of them. There's a Goliath barbarian. There's a Goliath fighter rogue, and there's a Tabaxi swashbuckler rogue. And at this, because it's a West Mars game, you never know. We just happen to have three that night, and that's who played. So they're going towards the island, and they're in this boat. They're at sea. Let me switch over to my side view here. So as you can see, like they're at sea. There's kind of they have dark vision. They can only see out 60 feet, so it's really kind of eerie. And I'm simulating them, revealing the map, and I'm describing stuff, and they hear this like yipping, like barking noise, just like a ton of these noise, like an echo of them coming out from the southeast, and they're like, what's that? And they're like, well, maybe it's just seals, or knowing me, it's probably an encounter. So they're on the alert or whatever. So they're make perception checks, and eventually they come. These little creatures come within sight. You'll see. So what they are, these creatures, I basically took Kobolds and Gnolls and I mashed them together because I've been reading this book. A Fire Upon the Deep by Vernor. Let me put this right here. Yeah, awesome book. So in it there are these creatures called tines, and they're basically dog packs, but like the 5 dog packs are one mind. Like the person controlling the dogs is just like their soul is above them in their consciousness. I haven't read the whole book yet, so I don't know the exact everything about it, but so these dogs have this consciousness, the collective consciousness, and it's really kind of cool. They kind of like one dog will be the hands, one dog will be the eyes, one dog will tell the other dog. It's a really cool setup. So I'm like, oh, I could do that in D&D, and I was kind of going back and forth between doing it with kobolds and doing it with gnolls. They both kind of fit, and I was like, this is a whole new thing I've never done. Let's combine kobolds and gnolls together, because I like the ferocity of gnolls and the fearlessness, but I also like kobolds are very tactical and very militaristic, but they're full of fear. So I just figured if you take gnolls, their skill sets kind of match really well. They're ferocious, they have pack tactics and all that kind of stuff. So what I did for this monster, so their armor class is equal to the number of people in their pack. You can see on the map here, if I open it up, that the top ones are blue, and the bottom ones are green. It's hard to tell on this. It's hard to tell here because I kind of didn't want the players to know at first that there are different packs. But these are actually, so even though there's 10 of these Kobold Gnolls that they see, I call them tines. They're called tines in the Fire Upon the Deep book, so we'll just call them tines. So there's 10 of these tines, and in between them, they're kind of all swimming in this really tight formation, really like right on top of each other, basically. In the middle of them, the two in the middle are carrying between them 2 or 3 of these hexagon things, the plates that they're going to this mystery island to try to find these plates, and here are these time things leaving that area with plates. So like, hey, they just stole our plates, But they didn't know that, but they just, so they had the choice to, follow these guys, or they have the choice to let them, because these things are just going along their business. They're just going away, and they can just let them go along their business and continue on to the island which they are supposed to go to. They have they have a compass point to the island that they are going to. I mean, I was pretty sure they were going to take the bait and chase these guys. I didn't know, but that's just so. Of course, my girlfriend likes dogs. She's like, well, they're kind of like dogs, aren't they? I'm like, well, yeah, they're part Gnoll, and they're kind of got some canine in them, and they're part like, I didn't describe them as Gnolls, but I'm like, they have some canine features definitely, but they're also kind of very scaly and very lizard-like. They're somewhere between a canine and a reptile. And she's like, well, that's almost a dog, and I'm like, yeah, that's So then in character, her character Dax is like, hi puppies, So these things were just going along in the dark, leaving them alone, and they're like, hi puppies. As soon as they said that, the back 5 turn their heads, like all in unison, like one creature, because these five tines are one creature, so they just all turn their heads at the fighter, and they see them, and as soon as they see them, they pull away from the other 10, and they kind of veer over towards the boat, and you'll see it right here, almost like I kind of described it like Top Gun, when they go on the whole squadron of jets, kind of like, and they go together, like these guys just separated and came at them tactically. So as that happens, my players are kind of like making their plans, and they see, oh crap, these guys are coming at us, and they don't, there's 6 of them. They don't look friendly, So the Goliath Barbarian, they have all these fishing nets and stuff they use. It's a survival game too, so they're always using stuff. So he says when they get close, I want to take the fishing net and toss them on top of them because they're really tight like a pack. And I was like, yeah, I don't see why not. Obviously it's going to wreck my encounter, it's going to wreck these guys, but the net. I was like, well, the net's 20 feet. Net, and it's so you can get some of these guys in it. So he kind of plans it out, and we use this little circle here to determine where his net was going to go. So as they got closer, I had him roll he just threw it like a normal throw. Like when you throw it, I gave him an AC. I think I could use their AC, but he had to hit whatever where he wanted to go, and if he missed. So when he missed, I do like the old 3rd edition thing. I roll a D8, and then you count 1, 2, 3, 4. You count the squares around it, and that's where something that misses, that's where it ends up. So they veer around to the south as these things come at him. He throws his net, he misses, but he gets 3 or 4 of them. He gets 3 of them in the net, and the 4th one's kind of like, his paws are in the net, he's kind of trapped, he's kind of half and half. But the other 2 are free, and they're coming out the boat. They get onto the boat, it's a crazy fight, because they have these 2 rowers that are with them, the 2 crewmen that are rowing, they're kind of these weird spiritual Zeph things. They're kind of mindless Zephs. These things are fast, and they're vicious, and they get on the boat really fast, and they're just rah, rah. I gave it things based on the number of things in the pack, and it's all one creature. So even though it can get massive, and I can have like 10 things on the table, I'm actually only working one creature, in a sense. It just speeds up combat, as you'll see. They have an armor class of 10 plus the number of creatures in the pack. So this pack right here, this Tine, has an armor class of 16 because there's 6 of them. It doesn't matter that some of them are in the net, some of them are. Them all together as a unit give each other 16 armor class. That's just 5th edition, just make mechanics work. Their hit points, the same thing. They have 20 hit points per member in the pack. So this pack has 120 hit points. But you can deal damage to individual pack members to take them down. But I also gave them what's called pack response. So any member in the pack can jump in front of another member and take the damage that member would take. So say I got one at 2, I got another one at 20. This one's going to take 10 damage. I can jump in front of him and take that 10 damage, so I don't lose. My whole creature's not wounded. If he has to be in range, and obviously it has to be within 10 feet. There's parameters to that, so it's a very tactical monster that I'm using. They also have what's called pack attack. Now that's not pack tactics. That's pack attack. They get a number of attacks equal to 1 plus the number in the pack. So these guys get 7 attacks, as long as most of them are able to attack. That's just how I did the mechanics of it. And the reason I did that is because if I had 6 kobolds here, I would have 6 kobolds rolling with advantage for pack tactics. So I'd be rolling 12 dice 6 times, because I can't just throw 12 dice out there, because I have to have it, and I have to do advantage. So I would have to have 6 different colored sets of dice. That's how I do it sometimes. But I realized if I did it this way, I can just take 7 dice. I'm attacking you 7 times. It's not much of an attack. They have a certain plus, but they also have what's called bloodlust. So if you're weakened, you get a +1 to their attack. It's a thing. So I throw out 7 attack. I'm attacking you twice, you 3 times, you twice. Throw the dice out. I'm done. I don't have to. You know what I mean? It makes this monster's really quick to run. But I have 6 things on the field, but I'm running 1 thing. And it was great. So these things are vicious. They're fighting it. They end up the Goliath ends up jumping over to the net. Some of them escape the net. They start fighting the ones that are in the net. The other, they slowly just start wearing these guys down, and they eventually take them out. Now that was simple encounter. That was the first salvo of this multifaceted encounter. So the other 6 are getting away with the 3 discs. So they're like, oh crap, let's go chase them. So they decide to go chase these things. They're actually dragging the last one in a net behind their boat, just for intimidation factor, they said. So it's hilarious. So then they're gonna go and they're gonna chase these things. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch maps. Now this map is pretty cool. It was made by GoAdventureMaps. I'll put a big thing right here. Go check out their Patreon. It's in the down below. They have a lot of cool maps, and I'll be using a lot of their maps and stuff. And thanks to them for letting me, film this and stuff. So now they're coming up the south of this map, and I just kind of added, I just used the background color blue. I couldn't quite match the screen, but it is what it is. It's just a way to add a little bit more distance to your maps without, having to stretch the maps beyond ridiculousness. So they're coming into these islands. They can only see so far because of the dark vision, and they're coming in, and then they get to a spot here. And then they're going to see, so on these islands, what they're going to see is all these like stakes and these like walls. They've been reinforced for battle, basically. And they see these other 2 groups. Now you'll see here, I have the yellow group and the red group and the blue groups, because so there's 16 different Kobold time things here. But I'm controlling 3 creatures though. So they're coming in, they see, oh crap, now there's more people coming. The ones over here on the left jump right down in. They're just right in the water, right after them, all 5 of them. Just, rah, they're coming after them. the ones up on the cliff here, up on the island, are going to stay there, do a formation, and they're just going to start throwing these little throwing darts at them. And some of them have disadvantage, but I don't care, because it's just, I have so much action economy that it's insane. So like I have a huge advantage over this party of 3 right now. They're like right now they're like, whoa, like we just got pulled into a trap, like we're idiots. And they're like, we got it, there's 2 Goliaths or whatever, So they're fighting, they're battling on the boat. Turns out that the Tines will not attack their oarsmen. They will not attack the Zeph, because they're like these weird. The Zeph are these weird things. There's a whole mystery to them. There's like these spirits inside of them. Whatever it is, these Kobold things will not attack them. They go to growl at them, and they just kind of back away, and they go around them to attack the party. That's just a weird mechanic, and just something that the party was like, whoa, okay, what's that? That's a foreshadowing thing for the future and whatnot. So they're fighting. The Goliath runs up to the tip, of the boat. He's trying to measure, and then to the boat. They're paddling the boat. The boat goes north a little bit along the island. They're trying to catch these guys in blue here, as the yellow guys are just trying to get on the boat and scrum, and the red guys are throwing stuff at them. So at a certain point, the Goliath, if you've watched the other videos, you know that he has this javelin of teleportation. So he's going to throw it at the guy in the center, and he ends up hitting him. He doesn't do a lot of damage with his javelin, but he hits him. And when he does that, he can teleport to him. So he teleports up to the blue group, to the blue Tine pack. He's on top of them. He's got his javelin. He's on top of them. He's about to fall down into the water on top of in this next turn. As he does that, he realizes that there's more of these creatures up on this island. There's even more. And now I have 2 party members down here pretty much surrounded by all these guys, and I have my Goliath up here surrounded by 10 of them now. I think there might be 11 of them up there. There's a ton of them up there. So now the Goliath has not sweat pretty much this whole campaign, but he was sweating at that moment. He was just like, oh, I might have overstretched there. So he's freaking out. They're paddling the boat down here, and they're fighting off these things. Eventually, the Tabaxi Rogue's going to get up on the island over here and kind of just get a better... He's going to try to be hiding and using the terrain because he's not so exposed on the boat. The red dudes are just attacking them from elevation, and he's just getting pummeled. So he's like, I got to get on this island and get some cover and use my bonus actions, be a rogue. And so he does that. And then so then they come up with a plan. They know at this point they're not going to kill all these things. They're just 3 versus 20. They're not only are their odds of winning not good, like they're now going into a survival situation, and they're just like, So he's a Goliath, he's raging. He has advantage. So he's ripping these things out of the guy, and they fight over him. He manages to get them in his hands, and as soon as he gets them in his hands, he takes about a bunch of shots from the dudes. Then his next turn, he basically disengages. He goes back to the tip of the boat. They start steering the boat over west. The Tines all close in. They're all fighting. That's just a crazy fight. The rogue jumps back in. They're trying to get these Tines off the boat, and they go as they're going left. And then so basically we're gonna go into the west into a sea fight. So now we're gonna go into the 3rd stage of this battle, which is gonna be a chase scene. It's basically a chase scene on the water because the paddlers can paddle 10 feet. They can paddle up 10 feet or 20 feet, depending on if basically I roll a strength check for them, an athletics check, and if they roll under 10, they move 10 feet. If they roll over 10 or over, they move 20 feet. They cumulatively add together, so that together the rowers can do anywhere from 20 to 40. And then if the Goliaths help, if anybody adds an athletics check to that, I give that many more feet to the motion of the boat to move forward. So if the Goliath rolled a 20 and the other Goliath rolled a 10, I'm at 30 feet of movement to the boat's rowing. But the Tines can swim 60 feet. They can swim 30 feet swim speed, so they can move 60 feet around if they use their dash. So if the paddlers roll low, and or if the players who are helping paddle roll low, or if they're not, sometimes the Kobolds get to the boat and they have to fight them, so they can't spend their turn rowing because they're fighting. So it's this whole big thing where some of the Tines will get on the boat, they'll fight them off, then they'll get they'll get a spot where they can row a little bit. Some of the Kobolds will grab onto the side of the boat, and they don't have to use their movement. They can just glide with the boat because they're holding onto it. So as long as if they're only 60 feet away, that next Kobold is going to come the 60 feet and grab the boat, and he's going to be with the boat. So they have to keep 5 feet ahead of them kind of every time, or it's just an incremental, they kept kind of going back and forth. They'd fight them. They'd have a lull. They could paddle a little bit. They'd roll crappy. They'd roll good. And as you can see in the fast track here, it just kind of rolled. And eventually, with this fight, it was a crazy chase fight that lasted maybe 20 minutes. And you can see how slowly, eventually, they got all of them off the boat, and they just started all paddling for everything they got. And they eventually pulled away. And they eventually, outdistanced them. And at a certain point, the Kobold Gnolls stopped and they just went back. They just gave up for in-game reasons that I won't discuss now because they're actually going to go back there next week in a couple days. They're going back to this place and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, you can see how that was a sea encounter with one map that I kind of used in the middle and just like literally blank blue ocean in between. And it was a 3-pronged encounter that was really exciting. It started out, they chose it, and it wasn't like I threw this at them. They chose to chase these things, and these things were smart. They knew these things were tactical by the way they were moving, and they chose to chase it into a trap, and they chased it into an ambush, and they were like, but then they just, it ended up being epic the way they actually succeeded. They got in there, they didn't even know where they were going. They never actually set foot on an island other than the Tabaxi Road set foot on that little tiny island for a couple rounds. They did not actually make landfall, and they succeeded to bring 3 hexagons back to the ships. Now they have 3 more brand new islands are going to be open to them. So it was a great encounter beginning to end. That was kind of a random encounter that they didn't even have to pick. And like I said, the Time Kobolds that I used were really cool. And the shared mind of the pack creatures just made it so I could run all these creatures, 20 guys here, but I only had to run 4 of them. 4 mechanically. I rolled the dice for them. For 20 of them, but mechanically I was only having 4 actions that I was doing, and it was great. It was a great thing. I'm going to use these guys again, obviously, for sure. So yeah, I hope that encounter was interesting and inspires you to help, in your own games. I'll put the time thing over here, and I'll have like a little picture of it. I really wrote it out in hand one day. It took me like 10 minutes to write it out. It was just really fun. We are Omniverse Gamers. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. We're just trying to, grow and make some more videos, so a lot more to come, and I hope to see you soon, and keep on gaming.